Hello, Algebra 2. Here's your agenda. We're going to do notes number 23 and homework number 24. So you'll need to take out a piece of paper. Please listen to the recording, take notes, and at the end is the homework slide. You may also print the homework from the last slide, or you can go back to Google Classroom where you found this video, and there's a PDF. And PDF is just a fancy name for a universal print. So there's also a copy of the homework back on Google Classroom for you to print. Okay, I'd just like you to listen for a minute. This is a bit of review. So we are going to graph linear functions. And so here's a definition. A function is linear if the rate of change is constant between any two sets of points. And what that means, like in these examples here, is that when the rate of change is constant, it produces a line. So you're going to be graphing lines, straight lines. All lines are straight. And we're going to graph them using a T-chart, which is this that I'm highlighting right now. It's called a table of values or a T-chart. These are examples of equations that we would be graphing. So the graph of a linear function is always a straight line. So if you don't get a straight line, then something went wrong with your math over in the T-chart, or you did not put the points properly on the graph. So it could be one of those two things. Okay, so normally we see things as y equals. We're in Algebra 2, so we've already learned from our prior notes that f of x equals mx plus b is the same as y equals mx plus b. So that f of x just stands for what we used to call y, okay? So here is non-examples. So these two right here are not linear functions. So we're going to get to those later. So please make sure you do have your math textbooks that you've picked up from the library, because we're going to start graphing absolute value and quadratics, which are these two that I'm highlighting later on, okay? So these are examples of non-linears. This one has an x squared. This one has an absolute value, okay? All right, so that's just a little review. I didn't expect you to take notes, just kind of listen. And then we're going to graph these using a T-chart or table of values. And so the essential question is down here at the bottom. How are points to graph a function calculated using a T-chart? So we're going to review how to use a T-chart. You may also call them a table of values. And remember, in math, you have different tools available for different tasks. So when it comes to graphing, a T-chart is always an option to help you graph something properly or correctly, okay? So if someone asks you to graph, then you can always use a T-chart. Okay, so now I'd like you to start writing. So please put notes number 23 in the top left of your paper. Hit pause. Stop this video and write all your steps down, please. So this is steps to graphing lines. Please hit pause and copy down your steps so that you have good notes at home. Please hit pause. Okay, so you should be done with writing down your steps. I just wanted to speak quickly, and I'll go over it. I was trying to see if I had a different option here. Let's try this one. Okay, so probably the one thing that students are like, well, how do I know what to pick? So when you set up a T-chart, you have an X and a Y, and you pick the X values. So a lot of teachers will tell you what numbers to pick. Well, logically speaking, you should always pick negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. So most teachers will tell you -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. But it depends on what you're graphing. So you're going to find out later on that you're going to pick specific numbers based on the function that you're dealing with. But for linears, we can go ahead and use these values. Generally speaking, always pick some negative numbers, always pick 0, and then always pick some positive numbers, okay? So once you pick those numbers, you plug in the x, and out comes the y. And I'll just pretend here, maybe if we plugged in a -2, we got a 5. I'm just pretending. So what that means is that when you would plot that point, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and I'm reviewing in case you forgot how to graph for some reason. So this is the x, this is the y. So we would go left 2 and up 5. So left 2, up 5, and we would make the dot right there. Okay, and then that's how you produce a graph. Make sure you connect all your points and draw a straight line, and make sure there's arrows on the ends, because all lines have arrows on the ends. Doesn't matter which way they point. Otherwise, they're called a segment or a ray, which you should have learned in geometry. So what you're doing with us is lines, and lines always have arrows on the end. Just as a review, this was a ray. That's what you did in geometry, and this was a segment. But we're not doing those. We're doing lines, okay? So arrows on both ends. Okay, identify the x and y intercept points. I will show you that as we get going, okay? All right. Okay, so here we go. Graph the equation. So I know that you don't have graph paper at home or with you. So this is what you're going to do is you're just going to draw a coordinate plane. So this is called a coordinate plane. This is the x, this is the y, and then just go ahead and make the tick marks out. On here it goes to 6. Looks like on mine I'm going to go to 5. If we need the 6, then we can always estimate it. So what you need to learn to do is quick graphs. You do need your textbook from the library so that we can go ahead and have you have graph paper within that textbook. So please make sure you pick it up. Okay, so this is a t-chart. So we're going to plug in x, and we're going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And there's an empty spot in the middle here because we put the function there. And in the middle, we do the math. So it says for any x, I'm going to plug that in right there and do the math. So this will be -2 and bring down the back -3. The next one, plug in -1 -3. The next one, 0 -3. The next one, 1 -3. And the last one, plug in a 2 for x -3. And then we do the math, and that's how we get the answer over here. Remember, this is just another way to write y. So what's -2 -3? That's -5. So our point will be -2, -5. So let's go make that dot over on the grid. So left 2, down 5. There's our first dot. Next one, -1 -3, that's -4. So our next dot will be -1, -4. So I'm going to go over to the grid, left 1, down 4. Next one, 0 -3 is just -3. Now some kids have trouble making that dot, so we're going to skip for just right now, just in case, because kids will put that dot in the wrong spot because it's 0. Let's just go to the next one. We'll come back to it. 1 -3, that's -2. So over 1, right, this amount, that's your x. So 1 comma negative 2. You put those two numbers together. So let's go up and make that dot. Go to the middle, over 1 to the right, and down 2. Now let's do the last one. 2 minus 3, that's negative 1. So this is the point 2 comma negative 1. So over 2, down 1. Oops, I wanted that in yellow. And now you can see where this one that we skipped would have been. 0, don't move, down 3. Because you can see it should come in that line. So now I'm going to adjust my dots a little because I don't have the grid like I do over here. So I'm just kind of replicating what you would do. So now I made my line, my dots kind of straight, right? And then straight through. And arrows on the end. Okay, if I had done that over here, negative 2, negative 5, negative 1, negative 4, 0, negative 3, 1, negative 2, and 2, negative 1. You can see how much better they come out when you have graph paper. Not to say that it makes it any easier for me to graph a straight line without a ruler. I don't have a ruler handy. But if you can get a hold of some graph paper, it does come in handy, you guys. Okay? So arrows on both ends, plot the dots. Okay. So this is okay to have on your notes. A graph like that is okay because you don't have the graph paper. Okay. So here's another one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remember that f of x means y. We're going to take our equation 2x plus 1, put it in the middle. We're going to pick numbers for x, so negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. And then we're going to plug it in right here. So this will be 2 times something plus 1. 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 And the something is what we're going to plug in right here, right? So we're going to plug in the negative 2. Then we're going to plug in negative 1. Then we're going to plug in 0. Then we're going to plug in 1. Then we're going to plug in 2. And do the math. Okay, 2 times negative, well, I'll wait for just a minute so you can write that down. Don't forget, you can hit pause, right? Okay, so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, plus 1 is negative 3, so we need the dot negative 2, negative 3. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 1 is negative 1. So the dot is negative 1, negative 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is just 1. This will be the dot 0, 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 1 comma 3. And the last one, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 comma 5. Now, if you struggle with that math, just so you know, right here, any one of these in the middle, you can use a calculator if you want. If you're not that, like if those integers hold you back, you can use a calculator, parentheses and everything. You can enter it in just like it's there and it'll come up with the answer 5 for you. Okay, so you can plot the dots on your grid. I'm going to use mine over here, negative 2, negative 3. Left 1, down 1. So I did this one and this one. 0, don't move, whoops. 0, don't move up 1. over 1 up 3, and over 2 up 5. And then there isn't no short lines. Your lines always have to go across the entire grid, okay? I'm going to try using a piece of paper here. Let me see if I can do this better. There we go. Oh, I came out with dots when I did that. I don't know why. I never tried doing it with paper. Well, that's a little bit better. I have to give Miss Arto a bit of a break because it's hard to draw straight lines on here, but I'll try on the next one, see if I can get any better. Okay? Remember, you can always hit pause on the recording. Okay, and the last one is one that is just, it's used a lot in college. So it's also the parent function. So I wanted to go ahead and show this to you. And it looks a little weird, right? So remember, just take this number and plug it in. So this would say y equals -2. So this is -2. So take that number and plug it in. So it would say y equals -1. It'd be -1. So whatever you plug in for x, 0, the y comes out to be the same thing. And this is called the parent function. Okay, so this short little equation, y equals x, that's called the parent function. And that's really important in upper level mathematics. So you can go ahead and draw your little grid and you can draw that on your own. I'm going to do it off to the side. So the points we would do is -2, -2. -1, -1, 0, 0, over 1, up 1, over, oops, I forgot this one. Over 2, up 2, over 2, up 2. There we go. So that's the parent function for linears, and it goes through the origin, the center. And if you advance on to upper level mathematics, and look at me, I got a little bit better line there. It still is a little wiggly, but pretty good. If you go to upper level mathematics, that's an important line, okay? You can hit pause here until you're done. Okay, so here's your homework, number 24. So there's 4 problems. Don't forget to show your T-chart work. So I expect you to have T-charts for each one of these, all right? So you need to show your work. And if you need to do that calculation for the equations, all right, so this equation, you can just do it off to the side and show where you plugged it in, right? So y equals 2 parentheses, oops, -5. I was going to put a plus. -5. So you can just show your work on the side, put the numbers in your T-chart, okay? Be careful on this problem right here. Be careful. That's really the same as y equals -1x plus 4. So there's a hidden 1 in front of that negative. Be careful, okay? You can see easily on this one, it's a -3x. So I'm a big proponent of filling in my hidden -1s, okay? And it's right there. All right? Okay, so if you have a printer at home, this worksheet is available as a PDF on Google Classroom to print. So you can go back to this assignment in Google Classroom. There will be an attachment. You can print it. If you don't have a printer, then draw out your own grids just like we did, right, in the lecture, just like this, and then just make your tick marks really nice. Try and be even, right? Generally speaking, we don't really label them. If you make them evenly spaced, then your dots will come out better, okay? All right, you guys. Have a great day.